Should brand ambassadors be held liable for the products that they endorse? If a parliamentary panel has its way, celebrities could even be sent to jail if their advertisements are found to be misleading. All this came after Mahendra Singh Dhoni faced the ire of home buyers for an Amrapali project in a suburb of Delhi. They launched a campaign on social media. The hashtag, in fact, went viral on Twitter. This brings us to the moot question: should celebrities be liable for the products they promote? After all, they're not responsible for the manufacturing. Joining us now is brand consultant Harish Bijoor and Santosh Desai, the MD and CEO of Future Brands. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Santosh, I'm going to come to you first. Where do you stand as far as your suggestion of the parliamentary panel go? How much should a brand ambassador be held liable for, if at all? Should it not be the manufacturer or the owner of the brand that should be held liable more?
No, absolutely. I think, as far as legal liability is concerned, it's difficult to argue that the celebrity endorsing a product or a brand should be held liable. Clearly, in so many cases, the kind of technical knowledge that is required to arrive at that judgment is not possible. It's not available with the individual in question. And it is clearly the manufacturer and the brand advertiser's responsibility. Having said that, I think it is important for celebrities to be mindful of the responsibility that they have to the public, and therefore to act responsibly. And it doesn't mean that responsibility extends to their being liable for prosecution, but it certainly does pay us a moral responsibility on them that they need to be mindful of.
So there is a moral responsibility. Harish, I want you to come in there. I want you to explain to me that how much research do celebrities in India actually do? How mature is this entire system? For example, we saw what brands did with the Tiger Woods. We saw what brands did with the Maria Sharapova recently. Should Mahendra Singh Dhoni not have dumped Amrapali?
I don't think at this given point of a time when a brand endorser decides to endorse a brand, it's a happy situation because, somebody approaches him and then, they sign and they move on. There isn't too much of due diligence. And I think that is the point that's being made. And I'm with the parliamentary committee when it says that, hey, listen, guys, you guys need to do a lot more due diligence because you need to be responsible. Because there are two aspects. One is called, willful default, and the other is witless default. Both are, one is, due to omission and the other is due to commission. So I think both these aspects need to be taken care of, and brand endorsers need to be very, very responsible in future.
Mr. Desai, coming to you, a quick question with regards to the kind of penalty that has been imposed. So there is a detailed suggestion that has been given for first-time offenders, second-time offenders. How can you exactly quantify the kind of penalty and the kind of liability that brand ambassadors can get? How will this even work? Won't this change the entire way any celebrities would endorse a brand?
No, I think I absolutely don't think that it makes any sense. I mean, for that matter, you could argue that why shouldn't the publication or the media outlet that carries the advertisement, why should they not be held responsible? I mean, if you are going to fix responsibility in any direction but the one where it belongs, which is the advertiser, I think then you can go anywhere. I mean, and how do you determine who's a celebrity? I mean, it's very easy to say with a Dhoni that he's a celebrity, but there are enough number of actor stroke, character players on television who are not necessarily celebrities. This is
Mr. Desai, if I could come in there, we are held liable.
Celebrities have more. Yeah.
Mr. Desai, sorry to come in there.
Sorry?
We are held liable.
No, you don't have to pay penalties because of the fact that you are.
If you were to make a comment that would, be considered as defamation or slanderous in nature, the broadcaster is held liable. But why not the brand ambassador? What I was asking, Harish, and I want to ask you...
But not in the case of advertising.
The fact that...
Not in the case of the advertising.
Okay, not in the case of advertising. But what I was asking, Harish, given the fact that MS Dhoni is who he is, the way people look up to him...
we are talking about advertising. So in the case of advertising, it is not liable. You guys are not liable.
Okay, we're not liable. But what I was asking Harish was that, given the fact who MS Dhoni is, his appeal, the way people look up to him, should he not be more selective about who he decides to endorse? You know, I live in the National Capital Region. Why not select a builder which doesn't have a trust deficit with the public? Or when this whole slander does take place, I know he made a comment, but why not just be more selective about the people that you decide to endorse, be more selective about the companies that you endorse, which is something that we do see happening in the West?
Yeah, or for that matter, why select a builder at all? Because, you know, I think a person like Dhoni, with his kind of stature and the kinds of brands that he does endorse, what really happens is selectivity needs to come in. Because if you're not selective, this is going to happen. So I think what the parliamentary committee's suggestion now tells people is, hey, listen, guys, you be careful. Now, if you have decided to advertise for somebody, then you are going to be blamed for it as well. Because there is a point out here, and the point simply is that you're a stakeholder. There are n numbers of stakeholders. The manufacturer is the stakeholder. The manufacturer who advertises is the stakeholder. The advertising agency in between is really not the stakeholder so much because, you know, they're not putting out their name in a very solid manner. But the brand endorser is. Because when a consumer comes to buy your brand, he looks at Dhoni and says, I love Dhoni, and Dhoni loves this, which means that I love this. So I think the equation is a very simplistic one I'm putting out, but it's a point that we need to remember that the brand endorser is a stakeholder and a very careful stakeholder in the future, hopefully.
Santosh Desai, do you think people would be buying homes just because MS Dhoni endorses a particular developer? Is it really as simplistic as that? And that brings me to the next question. I know Amrapali is not listed, but in the past we have seen listed companies have brand ambassadors. For example, we saw Shah Rukh Khan endorsing DLF, which was then a listed company. Why spend all of this money on celebrities? Is anyone really going to buy a home saying my favorite movie star or my favorite cricketer endorses this company?
Well, obviously, the person who's spending the money on the celebrity believes that the celebrity will play a role. So I think to that extent, I mean, given the fact that, you know, the widespread prevalence of celebrities in advertising suggests that, you know, there is some correlation between their appearing in ads and you know, sales going up. So I don't think that's the issue. I think, you know, it's very important here when we talk about legal liability, it's not the same thing as responsibility and feeling responsible and being selective. These are all matters of judgment. What we are talking about is a matter of law and a punitive, that is you know, action that is being taken against celebrities. And I think that is absolutely crossing the line. I don't think this is a matter of, you know, sending out a message or sending out a signal. This is actually holding somebody responsible for something that they do not have control over, that they do not in many cases have the ability to judge, you know, whether that is right or wrong. It is squarely the manufacturer's responsibility and nobody else's as far as the law is concerned. On that, I personally am very, very clear.
Yeah. All right, Harish Bijoor, Santosh Desai, many thanks for joining in. Lots of questions, very evidently. What defines a celebrity? What is the kind of liability? And of course, we'll be discussing that through the coming days as well. But